The Philadelphia Phillies have the third lowest bullpen ERA in the majors this season, only bested by the Yankees and Orioles. Despite what you see today, if I had told you in 2020 that the Phillies bullpen, or pitching as a whole for that matter, were one of their strengths, you'd probably laugh at me. Following the 2020 season, the Phillies bullpen had back-to-back awful seasons, culminating in a historically bad 7.06 ERA amongst the relievers. Only the 1930 Philadelphia Phillies had ever had a worse bullpen ERA at 8.01. There was just not much to be happy about on the pitching front for the Phillies. As a result of the lackluster pitching coach Brian Price announced what would be his temporary retirement from full-time coaching, and he would be replaced by the young and intriguing Caleb Cotham, who had been highly sought after that offseason, with the Cincinnati Reds desperately wanting him to stay. This would prove only the first domino of many to fall, followed with the resignation of Matt Klentak as Phillies general manager in October of 2020, and the subsequent hiring of both Sam Fuld as general manager and Dave Dombrowski as head of baseball operations in December of that year. Dombrowski has enjoyed a long career of winning, culminating in 2 World Series wins in 1997 and 2018 with the Marlins and Red Sox, respectively. Fuld, on the other hand, was a young coordinator with the Phillies at the time, following his playing career, and even was named a finalist for the Red Sox manager position in the same offseason, but chose to stay within the Phillies organization to pursue front office opportunities. Something that Dombrowski and Fuld always knew this team needed was pitching, and they quickly got to work on acquiring arms that they could get for cheap with the possibility of a high upside, with the likes of guys like Archie Bradley, Matt Moore, Brandon Kintzler, and Jose Alvarado, amongst others, acquired that offseason. Bradley, Kintzler, and Moore were signed via free agency, while Jose Alvarado was acquired in a 3-team trade, with the Phillies giving up Garrett Clevenger to the Rays as a part of that deal. Archie Bradley would only pitch 1 season in Philly, serving as the setup man and pitching to a 3.71 ERA and 51 innings over 53 appearances. Matt Moore, like Archie Bradley, would only pitch a single season in Philadelphia, posting a 6.29 ERA and 73 innings of work, starting 13 games and appearing in 24 total. Like the former two, Kintzler would only pitch a single season in Philadelphia, posting an 8.5 ERA in his first 20 appearances before going to the injured list in June with a sprained neck. He would then be released on August. Jose Alvarado, on the other hand, was the beginning of what we know today as part of the Phillies' flame-throwing bullpen. In his first season in Philly, he would pitch to a 4.2 ERA in 55 2/3 innings. He appeared in 64 total games and heavily threw his sinker, something that Cotham and him would work to change in the coming seasons. The Phillies bullpen would continue to struggle in 2021, though still lacking consistent arms that would be reliable. And as a result, there would be a flurry of guys such as Sam Coonrad, Hector Neris, and Angel De Los Santos being a part of the bullpen. Even the Telly Feliz, who hadn't pitched since 2017 in the majors, was called up for a shot at one point. Following the 2021 season, Dombrowski would agree to a 1-year contract extension with Sir Anthony Dominguez, one of the few arms that was still remaining from Klentak's time with the Phillies in the bullpen. Dombrowski would sign multiple other pitchers to minor league deals, most notably Andrew Bellotti, who was coming off being released by the Marlins, and he would prove to be one of the better relievers for the next 2 seasons following his purchasing of his contract from Lehigh Valley on April 14th, 2022. He would pitch to a 3.31 ERA in 2022, pitching at 59 games and striking out 78 batters. Some other notable arms that would be added this offseason as well were guys such as Ryan Sheriff and Corey Knebel, with only Knebel making an actual impact on the major league club, pitching to a 3.43 ERA and 44 2/3 innings before getting injured and being placed on the 60-day injured list with a torn shoulder capsule. He would miss the regular season following this injury. Fun fact, this offseason, the Phillies would acquire Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, and Guy Stubbs all in this one offseason. Also, something to note this offseason is the integration of Jose Alvarado's throwing his cutter more often and relying left on his sinker. He would increase his cutter usage to 42.9%, up from just 16.3% the year prior. This proved to help massively, although not right away, as Alvarado would lower his season ERA to a 3.18 ERA in 2022, pitching in 59 games. The 2022 season would come and go, with the Phillies bullpen pitching to a collective 4.27 ERA, ranking 8th worst in the MLB on the year, but much improved from their 2020 ERA of 7.06. Their most reliable reliever from 2021, Jose Alvarado, would start the season pitching poorly, and ultimately be optioned to the Phillies' AAA affiliate, Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, as he had pitched to a 7.62 ERA in just 13 innings up to his May 27th option. He would get some of that good old Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs secret stuff, pitched 4 innings, giving up no runs, and was recalled on June 12th, where he would finish the Major League season with a 3.18 ERA. During the season, the Phillies would draft Orion Kirkering in the 5th round of the 2022 MLB draft out of the University of South Florida. He would subsequently be assigned to the Phillies rookie ball team. Despite the less than stellar season, the Phillies managed to squeak into the playoffs for the second time in over a decade as the third wildcard team, and as a whole pitched to a 2.62 ERA in the postseason, mainly featuring Andrew Bellotti, Jose Alvarado, Connor Brogdon, and Sir Anthony Dominguez, and random Ranger Suarez cameos out of the bullpen. Of course, many of you know how that ended, with the Houston Astros beating the Phillies in 6 games to win the World Series, concluding by what might just be the biggest play of Yordan Alvarez's career, and quite possibly the worst play of Jose Alvarado's career.
On a 2-1, Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Veer leans back. This game is turned upside down.
Following the 2022 postseason run, Dave Dombrowski knew he needed to stress the need for more bullpen arms to help compete with the other top pitchers and teams. It proved to be the Phillies' Achilles heel in the postseason, as guys were simply just too gassed from pitching as much as they were. This offseason was going to be Dave's biggest yet when it came to the bullpen acquisitions, and it all started on December 9th, 2022, when he signed lefty Matt Strahm to a 2-year contract worth $15 million. Dave was just getting started with the Strahm signing, and a month later, on January 7th, 2023, he traded Matt Vierling, Nick Maton, and Donnie Sands to the Detroit Tigers, a familiar friend for Gregory Soto and Cody Clemens. Soto had been a bright spot on some otherwise dreary Tiger teams. He was quick to sign Soto to a year-long extension just days after the trade. Dombrowski quickly followed up the Soto trade, and on January 9th, 2023, he traded top prospect Eric Miller to the San Francisco Giants in exchange for Junior Marte. Marte shows a lot of similarities to other arms the Phillies were acquiring at the time, hard-throwing, low-value guys that had had many control problems, probably trying to duplicate what they were able to do with Alvarado. Dombrowski knew he needed a closer, and he pounced on Hall of Fame closer Craig Kimbrell, who he signed to a 1-year, $10 million contract. They were familiar with each other from their time in Boston together, and Dombrowski knew he could trust Kimbrell. Alvarado would sign a 3-year contract extension worth $21.5 million, which included a $9 million club option for 2026 on January 16, 2023. Sir Anthony Dominguez would sign a 2-year contract extension a day prior worth $7.25 million. Interestingly, Dave would draft Noah Song, an Air Force pilot who had drafted with the Red Sox in the Rule 5 draft. Despite hype around Song pitching for the Phillies, he would ultimately be returned to the Red Sox on August 4th, 2023, having never played a game for the Phillies. Dombrowski's last addition of note for the bullpen came later on in the spring, when he assigned Jeff Hoffman to a minor league contract, following him opting out of his minor league deal with the Twins. He would have his contract selected on May 4th after triggering his opt-out clause on May 1st. Dombrowski attempted to recruit Michael Lorenzen to the Phillies as a long reliever, but his reluctancy to pitch in that role made a deal impossible. Oh, and of course, They acquired Trey Turner that offseason, but I didn't really need to tell you that. Dave was very busy in the 2023 offseason, and it did not immediately show up in the new season. But over time, the Phillies bullpen started to take shape. But that was with some hiccups, as Jose Alvarado got elbow inflammation and was put on the IL from July 7th to August 21st, missing a whole month. The Phillies' new bullpen was lights out at times and quickly became talked about as a possible strength of an otherwise offensively loaded team. Matt Strahm pitched with 3.29 ERA despite starting the season as a starter. Craig Kimbrell had a 3.26 ERA and 71 games, saving 23 of those. Gregory Soto would be the only addition from the offseason with an ERA over 4. Dombrowski, searching for more bullpen help at the deadline, would trade for Lorenzen, who he tried to sign as a free agent in the offseason for How You Lee.
Jeff, pass with this. The Phillies are in agreement to acquire Michael Lorenzen from the Detroit Tigers. Lorenzen, an all-star for the first time, who's been so good lately for the Detroit Tigers, going back to the National League.
Lorenzen would begin his tenure as a starter, tossing a no-hitter in his first start at Citizens Bank Park, but would later transition to a long reliever like was imagined in the postseason.
Michael's dad passed away several years ago. He's always on his mind. There's no doubt about it.
One more pitch, he's saying. One more pitch.
One more pitch. The 3-2 pitch. Swung on, popped up, shallow center field. Rojas sprinting in, he's under it. He has space, makes the catch, and Michael Lorenzen has thrown the 14th no-hitter in Philadelphia Phillies history. He is being mobbed by his teammates as the Phillies shut out the Nationals 7-0. 124 pitches, 15 fly ball outs, and a masterful celebration. Tip of the cap to Rob Thompson. He gave a young man a chance to do something that only the special.
Jeff Hoffman was an otherwise pleasant surprise for the Phillies bullpen, which was loaded with lefties such as Soto, Alvarado, and Strahm. He pitched in 54 games, posting the second best reliever ERA for the Phils in 2023, only second to Jose Alvarado, who is having a historically good season. Lots of Hoffman's improvements came from working with Gotham, like Alvarado did, to change his distribution of pitches. With him relying heavily on his four-seam fastball before becoming a Philly, he would later come to rely on his slider much more. Orion Kerkering, the Phillies' 5th-round pick from the season prior, also made so much noise in the minor leagues after his performances, he was quickly promoted all the way to the majors, culminating in him pitching 3 regular season innings and playing a key part in the postseason. Kerkering was called up to the majors after just 55 total minor league appearances. Needless to say, the Phillies felt confident going into the postseason, having the 7th best ranked bullpen just 3 short years after having the 2nd worst in MLB history. They finished the season with a 3.58 ERA, and the Phillies altogether finished 90-72 in their first wildcard spot. The Phillies bullpen was a strength in their 2023 postseason run, and as a result, they had the lowest ERA by bullpen that got past the wild card round with a 2.23 ERA, giving up just 11 earned runs through their whole run. Sadly, it was not the bullpen that would let them down in the NLCS this year, as the offense as a whole went ice cold against the Diamondbacks with the series in their hand. Following another heartbreaking season, Dave Dombrowski finally felt confident about his bullpen, with rising arms such as Orion Kerkering, Jeff Hoffman, and Matt Strahm really coming into their own. As a result of his lackluster postseason performance and the quality of the bullpen that he now possessed, Dave let Craig Kimbrell walk to the Baltimore Orioles in the offseason, and unlike every other offseason prior with the Phillies, he did not need to make any major additions to the bullpen. Dombrowski would make some minor league contract signings such as Jose Ruiz, who is now a part of the Phillies bullpen as a long reliever. He signed on November 27, 2023. Feeling content with what he had, Dave moved to sign his 2 aces to a contract extension, with Nola coming first to a team-friendly 7-year, $172 million contract.
A unique situation, too, because not only a tremendous pitcher and human being, but what Aaron and Hunter mean for the community. They're already entrenched within the city and have done so much, and to have them remain, and it was apparent anything can happen, but they really wanted to remain part of this organization, this community, and that's a great thing for all of us. So we're absolutely thrilled that we're able to make this happen, to have one of the top pitchers in baseball, top starting rotations in Major League Baseball, and we'll look forward to the next 7 years and hopefully plenty more after that. So we're very happy. Congratulations, Aaron.
He would follow that up by signing Zach Wheeler to a record-setting 3-year, $126 million contract, which would be the most annual average value for a pitcher ever.
You're basically paying Zach what Cy Youngs and future Hall of Famers are receiving in the game. What does that say about what you think he's accomplished these last 4 years as a Philly?
Well, you're right about that, what we're paying him. And there's a couple of guys out there that are really at the top of the level. But what it's telling us is that we think Zach is as good as anybody in baseball right now.
I really just enjoy being here in Philly. You know, the fans are the best. And, you know, playing in, you know, Citizens Bank in October, there's nothing like it.
Following these two mammoth extensions, Dave decided to take flyers, as he had always done, on a couple of lower-end guys with the higher possibility. Amongst these guys were Spencer Turnbull, who he had known from when he had drafted him in Detroit, who he had signed to a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. He had also signed former first-round pick from the rival Braves, Colby Allard, to a 1-year, $1 million contract. Dave taking a flyer on Turnbull would play off, as he would start the season as the team's fifth starter with Taijuan Walker on the injured list, as he would be lights out to begin the season, pitching to a 2-0 record in 6 starts with a 1.67 ERA to start the season, 9th lowest out of all 82 qualified pitchers. It is June as I make this video, and as I said in the beginning, the Phillies are 3rd in ERA ranking, just behind the first place Yankees and rising Orioles for the best bullpen in baseball. Something that would have been a fever dream just 4 years ago. And there's still a ton of improvement too, with guys like Jeff Hoffman relying even more on his slider, up to 40% this year, and it has even paid more dividends as he's pitched to a .89 ERA so far. Complementing Hoffman from the other side extremely nicely is Matt Strahm. The 32-year-old who signed a contract extension in the offseason has been lights out. Relying mostly on his four-seam fastball, he has been almost as good as Hoffman with a .96 ERA, only giving up 4 runs, 28 innings. Needless to say, the Phillies bullpen has been transformed, and the philosophies learned during this overhaul will pay dividends, so another era like the 2019 and 2021 Phillies bullpen never happen again. Thanks to Dave Dombrowski and his whole way of thinking, mixed with Sam Folds' new school mindset, the Phillies have been able to not just make a great bullpen, but a lot of these acquisitions came from nothing, which was needed as the farm looked to rebound. I can't end this video off without saying just how big of a factor that Caleb Cotham was in this whole equation with Dave Dombrowski. Not only was he one of the key people to identify assets that he could be able to retool, such as he did with Jeff Hoffman and Jose Alvarado, but he also has been helping them to revitalize their careers by just changing little details about in their game, and that has helped them a lot. If you guys have enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a like and subscribe. This is my first video essay or anything on the baseball subject, so there'll definitely be more to come. Comment down below any stories you guys would want me to make videos about, and yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Peace.